Hi, Jeffrey here. So this video is a commentary on my time-lapse video of drawing the architecture building Milan Cathedral. As usual, I begin by drawing the outline of the building, and I also start to draw some of the shapes within the outline just so I have a sense of some of the proportions. Then I start to draw in detail using colored pencils, starting from the left side. I literally try to draw all the detail that I can see in the reference image that I'm using. Now this building has a lot of detail, and this detail can be overwhelming at times, but what I do is look for any recognizable landmarks that stand out from the rest of the details and draw those first. I draw the outline of those, and then after that I color them in. Here I am slowly coloring in the base of a statue in real time. There are a lot of overlapping architectural elements in this perspective. So how I draw them is I mentally visualize one element at a time and separate them out. The tops of the building are harder to draw because the elements are all overlapping, but this wall is easier because it's just a flat surface. Near the base of the building, the drawing gets a little complicated because there are some curves and details that are covered by the shadows of other details. And so I try to draw all the different colors in the shadows as well as all the different colors in the lighting. This window is relatively easy to draw compared to the other elements. I use mostly a black colored pencil in addition to some dark blue and some dark purple. This area is the trickiest so far. The reason being is that part of the building is in front of another part of the building, but the part in front does not completely block the part behind. This means that there are some overlaps of architectural elements. This means I have to be very careful drawing these areas, because you don't want to draw the wrong element that should have been behind and in front and vice versa. So I very meticulously look for what I call landmark elements in the reference image. These are areas that are more distinct looking, such as areas that are darker or like a part of a window or something like that. I draw those first and use those as a base from which I can draw the details around them. And so these make my eyes less likely to get lost when looking between my reference image and my drawing. In the shaded areas, my eyes get lost more because there are more colors and the elements are more blurry. So the shaded areas are more rough approximations, although I do try my best to capture all the detail, but as you can see, it's not as precise as the areas that are in the light of the sun. So basically what I do here is draw each support one by one. I start from the top of the building and then draw vertically to the bottom of the building, moving column by column, making sure that the elements align with one another as I work my way through. Sometimes I have to use a graphite pencil to draw where the next element will be before I use color pencil. This building has a lot of statues, and they require more precision. Whereas for other parts of the building, such as the walls, I don't need to sharpen my pencil as often because I can shade in larger areas rather than switching and trying to get all the fine details of the statues, like the heads and the robes. At this point, I have about completed drawing the side of the cathedral. To draw this much took me about 73 hours to complete. Then I start to draw the front facade of the building, which takes up the majority of the space on the paper. There are a lot of statues, and my process for drawing them is to start by getting the proportions measured using my eye and my pencil. And then I start to shade in, starting from the head, and work my way towards the bottom to the feet. I also make sure to shade in all the different patterns and colors on the facade stone. Here I am drawing and coloring in a window on the front facade. Something I should have mentioned earlier is that whenever I draw the outlines on the building, I use a mixture of different colored pencils rather than one pencil. This further increases the time it takes to draw. Below the window, I add a wide variety of colors. Here I am drawing a door. I try to draw every single carving and statue I see in my reference image on the door, and also add all the shadows and lighting and color that are sometimes are pixel by pixel on the door as well. To do this, I sharpen my pencils as sharp as possible so that I can get the fine lines and the detail that I see. And sometimes this requires me to sharpen after just using it once or twice. Now I zoom the camera out so that you can better see my left hand holding all the different colored pencils. Because the details are so fine, sometimes if I erase a little bit, I end up erasing more than I intend to and have to redraw more detail than what I initially intended to. In addition, another thing about making details so fine is that if one element is just a little bit off the reference image, the whole drawing and the rest of the elements that follow will be way off, and then that offset will accumulate, so I have to fix them before they become too big. Here I am drawing the top center of the front facade. The tops of the building are the most difficult part to draw. The reason being because structural and architectural elements are most densely packed there, and they spread out as they get lower. The statues are also difficult to draw because they're very tiny, and the difficulty is exacerbated when they are in the shadow instead of in the light. This is because in shadow, objects become more obscure and blurry. Sometimes I use a ruler to help me align elements in the perspective. I use it mainly for horizontal elements that appear diagonal in this reference image and align the elements that are on the same level as one another. Another thing to note is, as I draw more and more of this drawing, I tend to notice more detail than when I started. So I may make the drawing more detailed in the later portions than the earlier portions because of that. At this point, I'm about 400 hours in on the drawing. So here I am drawing the last column of details. As usual, I work from top to bottom. And here I am drawing the last portion. After that, I add my signature and the date that I completed the drawing. And that's it. I have finally completed this drawing. As mentioned in the title of the video, the total amount of time that I spent is 426.5 hours. I hope you enjoyed this commentary, and I hope that it gave you some insight into my process. If you like the content that I make, please remember to like, subscribe, share, and comment. Thank you so much for all of your support. Hope you have a great day.